for this terror attack. Demi Knight Clark and her husband Brian Clark were there today. Demi was just crossing the finish line when the first blast went off. And you can look at this video on the bottom left of your screen in the yellow jersey. You can see her. She was running. Now, Brian was sitting in the bleachers watching with their two daughters, Maisie, who is 9, and Willa, who is 7. And Demi joins me on the phone now. I know safe and sound and a miracle for you. Demi, what happened when you were running? I know you had been over on the side of the road by where the blast went off, but you had come over to the other side where you thought your family was so you could wave to them.
I did. I was actually, and again, I've said it so many times today, angel on my shoulder, whatever you want to call it. I had been running on the left and slapping people's hands, just wonderful spectators who were so supportive in those last 2 miles, and knew that my family was in the bleachers on the right, and so I moved over so that my daughters could see me. It was really important for them to see me at the finish, and as you can see, the blast happened right to my left, and I immediately looked over and saw the runners down and just smoke and people up against the fences and just horrific scenes. And then the second blast went off.
And what did you think when that happened? I mean, were you just in shock? Did you think this was an attack? Did you think, I mean, what went through your mind?
Honestly, I mean, for somebody who had just run for 4 hours, you know, didn't know anything. You're trying to get my wits about me. Honestly, what's in my head right now is this indelible image of the official that was to my left as I crossed the finish, because he was facing that direction, and it was just this horrific look on his face. He was horrified. And so I immediately turned at that point after just hearing that blast and saw it. And then the second one happened, and then I immediately thought of my family. So I think just disbelief, like what just happened.
And did you see people, injured people?
Oh, it was immediate because there was so much glass and so much, it was so explosive. I don't know how else to say it. It was so impactful that there were just people up against the fence and blood everywhere and glass and just something out of a war zone. I can't say it any differently.
And then, Demi, you must have looked for your family. You must have been so terrified. Were you able to find them in the stands? I mean, I know they're okay, and you're all there tonight in the hotel room together, but were you able to find Brian and Maisie and Willa?
I was. Thankfully, my husband's big. He's about 6'4" and 240, and he literally had one daughter under each arm. He was easy to spot in a crowd, and at that point, I think we all, after the second blast went off, we thought, I think as collectively, right there at the finish, what else could be happening? Would the bleachers go up next? You know, could there be another chain reaction of explosions? So it was immediately get as many people out of that scene as possible. And I can't say enough about the Boston police. They were right up on the scene. Those guys went straight over to help, as well as race officials, just volunteers, so many people to help. And they just really corralled us through as runners to try to get us out of there. So just so many helpers.
And Demi, what was the reaction of Maisie and Willa? I mean, they're 9 and 7. Did they understand? I mean, this is one of those events that will change your life and the lives of many who were there, probably theirs too.
Absolutely. My husband's with them right now, and they just want to go to bed. I think they're exhausted emotionally, mentally. My daughters were just in tears. We were all crying. I heard the other account of just reuniting with families and being in tears, and that's exactly how we were. It was just, how can I get my family to safety, being a mama bird, and then also having this just heartbreak for the families of injured people or worse, because those were all supporters of someone behind me that was running, and that could have been us, and it's heartbreaking.
And Demi, what's next for you? Are you gonna? You're there tonight, obviously, and they've made it clear that you're not supposed to leave the hotel room or do anything like that, right? You're supposed to stay just with your family inside?
Right, and happy to do that right now. Again, make our kids feel better. They're the most important to us, and we fly home tomorrow night, so back to the Charlotte area and back to our friends and family. So just looking forward to taking care of our kids.